Hey Commanders, it's been a while, but we're back. We're going to do a battle report tonight. We're not just going to do any battle report. We're going to do a Dropzone Commander version 2 beta battle report. Jordan and I are going to fire up 1,000-point forces. I'm going to play some UCM. He's going to play some Scourge. We're going to do a basic targets of opportunity. We're going to run 3 objectives across the board. We're going to use the special control tower rule out of the beta rules that if you are the sole occupant of this structure, you will get a free attack run of 40 points or less every HQ activation. We've brought out just about everything we can think of. We have forest sections, we have barricades across the map, we have structures. We are willing. Are you ready to do this?
Let's do this.
All right. Are we gonna like break down rule stuff as we shoot this thing, or are we just gonna play and then talk about rule stuff later?
Whichever way it happens.
We're gonna feel this one out. It's been so long since we've run one of these that we're gonna do what we feel like.
We totally forgot how to do this.
We completely forgot what we're doing. All right, we'll come back. We'll hit some army lists. We'll talk about the new force org charts when we do that, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start talking about beta rules. List building. So I'm looking here at my UCM list. We're playing a 1,000-point game tonight, so I'm coming in at 997. And this documentation is slightly wrong. It does not include my 2... I typed this up after I wrote the list so that it would be easier to read. So my transport section does not include my 2 Raven Bs for my Wolverines. But you see here in my transport group, I've got 5 Condors, and in this case, I'd have a Raven A and 2 Raven Bs. And then you see I break down here, I have 1 HQ, which contains my Kodiak. No command values, because new command cards aren't out. We know how command cards work. We're just not playing with them. We were able to get more into a 1,000-point game, you know, by not spending 25, 50 points on a commander. So the Kodiak, and he's got a Condor assigned to him to start the game. And then he has 2 Wolverine A's and 2 Wolverine C's with him. I'm hoping the way I read that still works like it did in the original Dropzone, where I don't have to take 4 A's or 4 B's or 4 C's. Assuming I can mix and match them. If this question's been asked and someone's confirmed that, please let us know in the comments. But I took 2 Wolverine A's, which are the AA ones, and I took 2 Wolverine C's. I'm using my B's to proxy for them. Those are the Flame units Wolverines that the UCM now has, according to the stat sheets of beta stats for the UCM. Then I have 2 armor groups. My first armor group is 3 Sabers and 3 Rapiers. And they're each also coming in on dropships. Everything's coming in on dropships because of the aerial superiority rule in version 2. So if you don't come in on a dropship, you don't come in until turn 2 at the earliest. I figure we're going to use standard battle line deployment in this scenario, so everything will come on like it used to. We can talk about that later on. So then my infantry group, I've got 3 Legionnaires and 3 Legionnaires, both in bears on a Condor, and I've also got 2 Praetorians and a Raven A. So you can now have exotics in your infantry groups. And then I have a second armor group, which is just 3 Sabers, also on a Condor. There is also a special group. I didn't use one in this game. I've got my tablet here. Let's see if we can find those rules real quick. Here we go. We'll go back a page. So if you haven't looked at this, awkward cut there, I apologize. I was about to say, if you haven't looked at this, why are you watching this video? But special group can have scouts, exotics, support. So it reminds me as a longtime PHR player of the Pegasus group. But gone is heavy. Heavies are now in your armor formation and your HQ formation. But you're allowed up to 3 armored formations. So that makes it okay to go around and shuffle things. It also gets rid of all the the bizarre names. You don't have a Hand of the Sphere versus a Warlord HQ versus a Field Command. It's all just HQ.
Versus a Rusted Fist.
Versus that
Who wanted to
heavy
take the
squad.
Rusted Fist anyway?
I know that you served the Flaming Fist.
Bit of Forgotten Realms lore.
There you go.
Any Baldur's Gate players out there?
Yep. I serve the Flaming Fist. All right, so we're going to go over and take a look. Jordan's playing Scourge tonight. So we're going to go over and take a look at the list he's playing, and then we will finally get underway to turn 1. All right, we've wrapped up turn 1, Commanders. And here is what is going on. So the Scourge raced up, dropped some AA, they dropped some tanks. They shot at a building. Jordan's AA hit that little building and did some damage. So in version 2 rules, building damage works differently. And Jordan is here to explain that.
So, unless you have
Demolisher
for a regular building or defoliator on a wooden structure,
I will be defoliated.
you cannot double up on a building on damage,
Correct.
no matter your energy.
But
instead of doubling up, you can do what is now called collateral damage rather than
falling masonry.
So there's a roll that is now eliminated. So if you double up, you get 2 above your target to damage the building, you will cause a collateral damage. If you have Demolisher, you can then double up your damage. That also doubles
the
up
collateral.
your collateral damage.
And collateral damage is an energy 6 hit to infantry,
Energy
or
5, I think, is the current.
energy something.
It's energy 5 because I think the Immortals survive a little bit better now against it.
Winking.
It went down by 1, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, anyways, we can cross-reference the beta rules on that. We don't have anything in buildings. We'll look that up when we do.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you get the collateral damage. It's an automatic hit. You go straight to confirming damage.
I believe that is the way it works. That's why we're playing the game.
So the weapons that are good at damaging structures are very good at it. The weapons that aren't so good are still decent, but they don't go crazy, kind of like those old katanas do. So there is that.
I also played with drop and shoot. Everything I dropped shot this turn. So my 2-up sabers firing on skimmers became 2-up plus 2-up from dropping, so 4-up plus 2-up from skimming. Needed a 6, missed. These sabers did the same thing, but my rapiers also dropped. Now AA ignores skimmer just like it always used to, but it can't fire at an air target. Same turn it is dropped. So they were hitting on 5-ups. 3 shots did hit one of these hunters, but didn't even scratch it. I really think that's the bulk of turn 1. I'm parked over here, conveniently located 4 inches away from the control station because my Praetorians have fast roping, which means they can, from 4 inches away, they have fast roping 4. From 4 inches away, they can enter the structure.
No.
What?
So fast roping 4, that allows the Raven to move another further 4 inches. So it's you normally half your deployment. To deploy, you use half movement. So if you have fast roping 4, a Raven moves how many inches?
24.
So if you're going to deploy as normal out of a Raven, you can move 12 inches.
Correct.
With fast moving 4, you can then move
16.
If it was fast moving 7, it'd be 19. Not that.
See, I'm so glad I said that and screwed it up, because now you got to look like you know exactly what you're talking about.
So, yeah, it doesn't make. You still have to be within that 1 inch. It just increases the deployment movement of your transport.
Cool. All right, guys, we're going to be back after turn 2. We're going to keep playing, and we'll keep dragging this out with some rule explanations as we go.
An addendum on that, fast roping also gives, if you have fast roping, you're good at entering structures however you want. So by rule, you have...
Does that mean you can ignore people at the wall?
You can ignore people at the wall, and you do not need a door. You have breaching charges.
Breaching charges.
So.
Cool. We'll be back after turn 2, guys. So I would think a 1,000-point game would go really quick for a couple of old grizzled grognards like us, but yeah, it's version 2 now, so it's taking a little longer. What did we do? We did a lot this turn. We figured out fire is bad. So you'll notice that there's a severe lack of hunters on the table. I've eliminated most of those. My rapier shot down a transport, which dropped those hunters. They moved up and tried to take out these sabers to poor or no effect. The sabers retaliated, eliminating most of them. So we're left with the AA, which did destroy a dropship. That dropship landed on my 2 flame Wolverines. I couldn't remember what they were. I haven't deployed them so long.
Wolverine C's.
And your hunter. So that brought up an interesting question in gameplay. Does that 4+ from the dropship crashing on the hunter take into account skimmer bonus? Jordan posed the case. It's an interesting argument. I can see it both ways. Because
this is even a version 1 question, because this is not a rule that's really changed. So
right.
It's kind of vague. It says a 4+ hit. So it's probably in the living rules in the errata on a ruling on that. We just don't know it right now.
Right. So if you do know it, you got a link to it. Toss it down in the comments below because we love to know what we're doing. So all of that got wiped out. My flame units are gone. It took one of his hunters with it. But what happened over here was my 1 bear blew up and only 1 base escaped into the building. My other bear escaped over here, which got vaporized by this marauder. And then his tormentors popped out and they fired on the structure. I'm sorry, they fired on the squad inside the structure and incinerated one of them, set a fire, and let their razor worms out. That fire has already spread, causing more collateral damage and killing 3 more of the Legionnaires. There's 1 Legionnaire left on that base, 2 stands of razor worms that are just going to get cooked alive in the building when it's all said and done. Over here, Jordan deployed his warriors first, giving him occupier advantage. I deployed my Praetorians, and then my Raven pulled back so that it didn't have to worry about getting shot at. So we'll see what happens over here. There's going to be a CQB. Jordan's looking for 4s because he's got invaders on the ground here, granting him a +1 search for each squad in there. And he has occupier's advantage, granting him a +1. So the large structure goes from a 6 search for his 2 squads to a 4 search. We'll see what happens. Anything I'm missing, Jordan?
No. So the quick note on that CQB initiative is going to become important because aggressors can now search for the objective. So it might become important for you to try and win initiative to try and find that objective before I do, because
I thought regardless we both could search.
Yes, but that's going to happen on your activation.
I see.
So you get to search on that squad's, the beginning of that squad's activation. So whoever starts that CQB, because defenders can now initiate the CQB as well as aggressors. So
nice.
It was always the defenders before, the occupiers. But the aggressor can now initiate a CQB. You can also fight and search and go to the wall all in the same turn with the same squad. Each squad, I believe the rule is you lose 3 CQB dice per squad to go to the wall or to search.
I believe that's correct.
So the bigger the squad or the higher the CQB value, the easier that becomes.
Right.
But you only have 1 roll for a 6+, so it is still a bit iffy.
It is. It is. I didn't come in here with the intent of winning. I came in here on the intent with beating on the rules. Mm-hmm. Which I think in 2 turns we've actually beat on these rules quite a bit so far.
And your comment about the speed of our play and this being a slower game, I'm thinking maybe it's not a slower game at this point.
No, these next few turns are really going to speed up.
The bit I've played of beta, it is very killy.
Yeah.
So in an odd way, a turn takes longer, but it may actually speed up the game. You get to doing things a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah, and quite in all honesty, I mean, even stopping to look up flame rules, stopping to look up crash rules just to make sure we're doing everything right. I don't feel like this game has really been chugging along.
Mm-mm.
It's been moving along at a pretty healthy clip. I mean, so many of the basics are still there from version 1 that it feels like the same game. It just feels, I want to use the word refined.
Yeah.
It feels a lot. I mean, even going, wait, that's how we do it now? It still feels smoother and quicker, in my opinion.
Fleshed out a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're still using basebook units too, which, don't get me wrong, it's kind of fun to go back and play with the old toys that maybe don't get the love they used to. But we're rambling. We've got a turn 3 to get to. We're gonna initiate a CQB. It's gonna be a good time. So we'll be back after 3, and we'll see how this is going. All right, so here we are, end of turn 3. We're actually going to wrap this game now because victory's foregone conclusion. This is flying off the table with the objective from the CQB here. All of my other infantry's dead. All of his other infantry's dead. So no one's getting another objective in this game. So, I mean, literally playing to the point of ending the game is pointless. You're going to win.
You could get this objective out.
But I could get it, and I could pass it to that because I do have Occupier's advantage.
No, you don't.
I was in here first.
Oh.
Because you shot me down and I got in.
Yes, but as soon as we're in there fighting, you have not found it. Oh, so I guess the turn you could, yes.
I'd need a 5 up. If I got it on a 5, well, here. I wouldn't find it.
So Occupier's advantage is gone. You wouldn't be able
and it's 1 Legionnaire versus 5 Razor Worms.
Right.
So he's doomed. You know, I could load these guys up and try to fly them across the map and get this objective over here or some bullshit like that. But, you know, there's 3 guys over there versus 15 warriors. So chances are I'm done. And that's okay. That's not the point. The point is, you know, watching the Desolator set fire to half the map over here, which was great. We really got a mastery of the fire rules because of the Desolator today. So, what do we address? We set fire to this. You set fire to this forest back here.
No.
Yes.
It was within 6, so it wouldn't have caught fire. But it took 3 DP because it's a structure. Structures within 12 inches of the Desolator take 3 DP. Structures within 6 inches take 3 DP and gain a fire distance.
Oh, we've got fire on that for some reason.
We should not have had fire on that.
Oh. I thought we read something about forests starting on fire when they take damage.
I don't know. Now, the barricades did, however, catch on fire.
Yeah.
They were close.
Yeah, the barricades got obliterated. There was a tree barricade here and a wrecked Haven Gate that were acting as pieces of
See, there was
barricades.
No less than what? 1, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 units were within range of that weapon, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings and 2 barricades.
That was fun. That was cute.
It was a lot of damage.
So we're thinking right now that what we're going to do is instead of playing this game out to its bitter conclusion, I've got a 1,000-point PHR list. We're going to reset and do another combination of starter armies against starter armies here, and just kind of break around the rules a little bit. We're thinking about restructuring the table, so we're going to force one of the forest sections to be an objective holder, so that we can force a CQB and that we can force fire on the forest and see how those play out. I don't think I'm going to break those into separate battle reports. I think I'm just going to kind of keep this one big
continual report.
Yeah, version 2 kind of rule breakout, just going over basic stuff. I know it's going to run a little long just because we keep the turn caps here are really long because we keep talking about rules, but I think giving the newness of version 2, I think it's probably good. If people are going to watch it, it'll be useful to have rule discussion. And by all means, drag that into the comments. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell us if you hate us. Tell us if you are coming to Origins and are going to hang out with us. Well, with me, because someone has to leave Origins early.
Halfway through.
And I'm not going to name names, but he looks a lot like this jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has to go to... Where are you going? New Mexico?
Yes, hiking trip to New Mexico. Philmont, specifically.
No one likes a braggart, Jordan. So, anyways, you're going to be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? You're leaving Friday.
I'll work the show Friday, and then head home because we leave for New Mexico early in the morning Saturday.
Right. So Jordan will be there for the first, really, he'll be there the first 3 days, but Wednesdays I don't know if it's really counted as a day by most people. The show's only open for a few hours.
Is it officially open in the evening?
It opens, I think it's open 8 to 4 or 10 to 4 or something like that on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure 4 is the close-up time on Wednesday.
Or is it just events? I don't think the vendor hall's open on Wednesday.
I think it is, but I think it's like half filled. But Thursday's like the first full day where the hall's going to be open from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then the Wargaming Hall is open until people stop playing war games, I think. So, anyways, we're gonna pull this down and reset, and we'll come back and do some more stuff with some different units. So, we'll talk to you in a few. So, as we set up for our next game, the PHR list that Jordan's gonna be playing. This is just the chicken scratch that I have. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 Neptunes, 3 Tritons in its transport group. Then the HQ is a Zeus and an Odin. The armor is 2 Ares and 2 Phobos. All of these are riding on their own Neptunes. Infantry is 2 squads of 2 Immortals and a squad of 2 Sirens. And then there is also a Menchit and an Enyo in a second armor group sharing a Neptune. So he'll have some AT and some flame there. They also have 1 Athena attack run that they've paid for. So we'll come back when we're ready to start this first turn of this next match of UCM versus PHR. So we restructured the way the map was flowing. We've got backboard objectives here, and then 1 in the forest in the middle of the board. And Jordan has a backboard forest objective there. The idea being to force our infantry into fighting in the forest. We want to see how it works. We want to get some flame units up, and we want to torch some woods, and we just want to kind of continue to break things. So Jordan is putting together his Republic forces now. I'm going to play the UCM again, and we will get at this ASAP. Okay, we wrapped up turn 1, 2. I had a barricade that was sitting right in front of these sabers. It looked all nice and pretty, and these Phobos decided to jump right off of their dropship and obliterate it. How much damage did you do?
11. The Neptunes joined in as well.
Oh, Neptunes hit the broadside of the barn too. The Ares fired, and they did end up plucking off one of my rapiers using drop and shoot. So that was a very effective turn for them. We have a bunch of infantry converging on the objective forest here. We have Immortals on the backboard going after that one. We have Legionnaires over here going after this one. That's really it. I mean, it's basic deployment. We see it all the time. So we will come back after 2 because other than blowing up a barricade, we didn't do anything special this turn. So we wrapped up an exciting turn 2. The Immortals found their objective back here. The Legionnaires found their objective back here. Both got off board. Both were returning at the beginning of turn 3. I set fire to this forest because I figured chances are I might not get it. So let's see if I can make it hell for him. My Wolverine C's did an effective job getting a couple of fire tokens in there. The fire is raging, and it almost cooked my Praetorians and the Sirens, although now that they can use their dodge ability inside the burning structure, they were able to avoid the collateral damage. So round 3 is going to see a CQB in the center of the building here. My 2nd Legionnaire squad had made an effort to rush the building, but fortune did not favor the bold. The Phobos reaction fired and obliterated the unit in the air. They put 4 points of damage on it, rolled a 6 on the chart, and everything died. I'm also out of AA, but I did pop one of the Tritons that were carrying the Immortals and killed a squad of them in the process. My Wolverine A's are over here. They did fire on the Siren transport, and they hit it, but they didn't kill it. It ran away. So now we're just kind of hanging out here. We got Enyo down. Enyo is what popped the last rapier, actually. And that's about it, right? We've got nothing else really exciting going on. We're going to go into turn 3. We're going to continue to let things burn to see how bad these fires get. And see if this game gets quickly decided mid-game like the last one did. Anything I'm missing? Thoughts, rules that we should be addressing?
I don't think so.
Alrighty. We'll be back after 3. Alright, so admittedly we just started playing around to play around. We brought an Athena on just because we wanted to do fast movers, and I gotta say, she entered from this side of the board and put a demo round into the large structure that was there and popped a Raven, and then next activation she made a slight pivot, continued on. It's difficult to maneuver them, I think. I think it's difficult to slow fly them on and maneuver them and not run them into something.
But it's not crazy difficult.
Right. It really makes you think about your deployment on them a lot more. Mm-hmm. But that is a devastating stack of 40 points right there. Mm-hmm. That might be underpointed. The fire, I think we agree. Before we get too far, I mean, at turn 3, this game was over. The PHR found the objective in here. They got the second objective, passed it to the Zeus. The Zeus flew back there. I put a little fire on them from my Wolverines, but
I would say I fared a little better in the CQB. Which
yeah,
should've.
And that was a point I was about to make too. Yeah, you had more troops in there, but Occupier's advantage is
important.
Really that much of an advantage. Version 2 does not have you lingering in structures very long. Occupier's advantage alone doesn't have you lingering in structures long.
Mm-hmm. The search rules with the way Occupier's advantage and ground transports work expedites the building searching.
Yeah. And I think that's good. It's going to encourage more brazen play.
Mm-hmm. I might like to see something done about the early search and being able to pass down when you occupy the structure to stop your opponent from searching for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally too easy for me to hand that away.
Yeah.
And you could even sneak that. If I went in with one squad and had Occupier's advantage, and you enter with 4 squads, go crazy. Rules as written, I believe you could still pass it off.
Maybe not even squads, maybe bases.
You can't go bases though, because 2 Immortals is 3 Legionnaires any day of the week.
It is, but it's not about whether or not they would kill them or they would stop them. It's whether or not they would slow them down.
Yeah.
And you pay more for Immortals because Immortals are better infantry. Mm-hmm. But the UCM has the troops to throw at you. They have the wall of flesh to throw. And that makes those
Yep.
Legionnaires a little more useful.
But the elites are better at weaving in and out. I mean,
I don't dislike it. I'm not like, oh, it's terrible. It certainly it changes the way you play the game. I mean, version 2, there's a lot of little things in version 2. I didn't feel like we weren't playing Dropzone tonight,
no, it still feels like Dropzone.
but it feels like Dropzone dropped a little speed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just it may not have legitimately been a quicker game, but it felt like a quicker game. Things happened faster.
Well, part of the thing here too is we probably didn't have enough objectives on the board for the amount of points we were playing with.
True. Well, and we talked about this a couple times. I wanted to get some armies on the board and play with the rules,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of get a little bit of system mastery before we went and built
Mm-hmm.
something that looks more like legitimate lists in full size games.
I mean, yeah, something fluffing it up a bit with like a focal point or a critical location, I think could have made this a bit more fair.
Right.
Because it really came down to an initiative roll, and who dared enter the forest first?
Yeah. Well, and the thing too, flame weapons are going to be an auto include now. If you're not taking flame in version 2, you're going to regret it.
Mm-hmm.
A demo weapon of some type is going to be an auto include. This combo right here on this list, I really like being able to get that Menchit and that Enyo together on the same dropship.
Mm-hmm.
That's nifty. That's a cute little
Mm-hmm.
stack of points that is really effective. These Wolverine C's, well, they're not Wolverine C's specifically, but Wolverine C's are going to be a godsend for the UCM because they're dirt cheap, super fast little flamers.
Mm-hmm.
That you put on a Raven and you run them up board and you start torching stuff. And I mean, yeah, I fired into that forest once with them on turn 2, and by the end of turn 3's roundup, the forest had half burned itself down.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel drop and shoot broke anything. In fact, I think that I don't know. We haven't played that many games. I don't know that drop and shoot on AA units would be that game breaking.
I think it would be. Just the redeployment part of it, jumping around, late game range wise with.
Yeah, I can see that. It certainly. I mean, I didn't do a lot of redeployment. I had him back here because I was gonna. Since my bear got shot down,
Mm-hmm.
my Condor and bear got blown up, I was gonna pick up my bear coming back from reserves and run him up board to get him in the CQB there. But I mean, at that point, once you had gotten the objective and gotten it out, it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we started dinking around. But
Quick thought on the way it's written up on the CQB. So, if you happen to have infantry in 2 different battle groups, you know how you add more bases to the fight,
mm-hmm.
and you get them in there before the CQB happened, version 1. They're not part of the CQB.
Right.
So, version 2, the way it's written, I believe the interpretation is you jump in there as an aggressor, and it didn't start because you went in with a different battle group than that's already in there. So then when one of those squads that's in the other battle group activates, that CQB happens when it spends a whole turn in there with everything that's in there. So if you need to help defend a building, you can actually pile more guys in the same turn, effectively have them CQB.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, though, because, as they're coming into the building, you've got the people who are holding it requesting aid or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, it gets rid of that weird situation. Like, well, they're in there, but they're not in there.
yeah, they're coming in.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more intuitive. It makes more sense. It's a similar concept to me as the flight stand. You are flying at the height of your flight stand.
Right.
Now.
Right, and with the exception of the forest, where we're like, no, those are 4 inches. That really just, yeah, it simplifies the game. What you see is what you get.
I think I'd like to see a official statistic on the height of your flight stand. I could see some min-maxers cutting their flight stands, saying, "Well, I'm
flying at the deck at all times."
Right. Not that there's going to the deck anymore. But
Yeah, which, I don't miss going to the deck. It's
as sad as it is to say it, I think there's a need for an official flight stand height for each size base.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't found many people in the community that are like filthy cheaters, but
I'm sure they're out there.
yeah, I'm sure there are. Yeah, I mean, because they're in every community somewhere. So I'll tell you what, for getting a couple of short games, a couple of short 1,000-point games in today, it really did. It was refreshing. It certainly feels different, in a good way. My feet keep sticking to the floor pops. I hope that's not getting picked up.
You'll cut that in post.
Yeah, the intense amount of post-production work I will do on these battle reports.
Right.
Man, I tell you what, I cut these things extensively. This will end up being a pretty long battle report. Or, I don't know if battle report's the right word. More like a version 2 overview, preview conversation.
Oh, I mean, there was a bit of battle reporting.
There was. Moreover, in the sense of, though, it was to kind of talk about version 2 rules as we were using them. But by and large, I'm very happy, having gotten a couple of games in now. I'm very happy with the changes and the directions that they're going with it. I think it's good for the game. I think it's a faster game. It's more fun.
Yeah. To get a general sense, I think if you're watching Dave,
Dave doesn't watch us.
Yeah. We get a better sense of how everything balances out when we have stats for more models.
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier. You suggested early on that we really need to start digging into more models.
I mean, I know they work as is, the way, not updated yet because the stat lines are the same. So
how horrible would bringing Hades in, drop and shoot be? All right, I'm gonna come up especially with the Poseidon speed buff.
Right.
So I'm gonna bring her up 9 inches, drop her out another 7. So I'm shooting backboard turn 1, and I'm coming off the drop ship, firing 36 inches at a 4 up. And oh yeah, black nanomachine swarm on anything that's dumb enough to be upboard at all. And then those miniguns, if there's a forest in front of me, well, they're gonna cut some stuff up. And then you got the no, never mind. My thought was going off somewhere else, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that when you start bringing in other units and resistance. And I've seen the question come up a few times about resistance. Is hovercraft rule going to be the same as aircraft? Are they not going to? Because I mean, if you look at it, rule is written. If you're not in a lift hawk, you're not coming on until turn 2, and that's not fair to the resistance. Or maybe it is, because you still get to drive off your transports and shoot with no negatives.
Don't be bitter.
I'm not being bitter. I'm actually thinking that's the tactical advantage for you. I'm 18 inches up board, and you finally come on. It's like, hey, I'm going to come on, drive off, and shoot ya.
Right. I mean, that is it's balanced out somewhat. In that hovercraft, as far as the mainline drop ship for the resistance, they're goddamn slow.
Well, and my biggest frustration, like with the Thunderstorm, for example, is addressed in the sense that since it's a large vehicle, you have to measure your firing from the weapons, which means if you're parking it behind a building, it doesn't get hauled down. If you drop the building on it, it's still going to take damage.
Or when you see that part of the Thunderstorm that's this big, but you can't shoot it because that's less than 10% of it.
Right. So fixing that is a huge deal for those big models. It's a big deal for the Hades. It's a big deal for the Oppressor. It's a big deal for the Thunderstorm. So I'm excited that they did that, and I am looking forward to getting a bigger game on to see how that stuff plays.
And overall, the point values and the weapon profiles aren't really changed that extensively here.
No.
So expanding out into more models before they get around to readjusting.
I did see someone ask, because they were talking about Resistance still not being playable, and I think Don was the one that said, they are playable. They're pretty much, there's not a lot that's changed. Use them as is. But someone made a really good point, and they said something about the Hellhog having transition. Well, what's the point value for a Hellhog in 2nd edition?
Oh, right.
Because it can transition. And
so fast movers would be the thing that you couldn't play with yet.
But I think we've seen tonight Justin dinking around like we did with the Corsairs when you had the Scourge and intercepting with those Archangels, and then seeing the Athena come on. I think we've seen that fast movers are going to see more play. I'm gonna play fast movers a lot more. I mean, with UCM, I was bringing Seraphim Retaliators as an almost auto include in 1-1. Because they were that effective. And I feel like in 2 they're going to be better because that is it gonna come turn 1, turn 3? That's gone. No, I'm gonna get it. And it's gonna be on board for 2 turns. Dropping bombs on stuff. And it's a boat. So yeah, I mean, if I'm playing UCM, I mean, Seraphim Retaliators, maybe even a straight up Seraphim. I haven't looked at the stat line on a regular Seraphim forever. But, I could see it being an auto-include. I could see a couple of flights of Archangels being an auto-include. Just for intercepting.
Not just for intercepting, for backboard AA.
Yeah, but for intercepting. Because I have now seen what the Athena can do. And it's not pretty.
Right. Yeah, I almost wonder if there was supposed to be Alt 1 on some of that stuff.
Or if we missed something in the rules that say you can only fire one weapon system when it rolls on board. But my rule book is out of power, so I'll have to look later. But so overall, very, very happy with the experience of playing 2.0. Do you have any final thoughts? Because this segment alone is just about 20 minutes, and that's not including everything else we shot tonight. So,
I'd like to see how devastating Defibrillator is.
Yeah, well, considering how devastating we saw just Flame is on a forest.
And the other thing we didn't do was we should have a lot of the machine guns that never get used because effectively, though our board setup didn't create a lot
of opportunity
to shoot the forests.
I'll tell you, it's a lot of subtle changes that are really meta shaking. And I think that's great. I think that's very cool. And I am definitely looking forward to playing it a little more.
You're looking forward to losing to me more.
Be that as it may. maybe we'll get back to playing our own proper armies, and things will balance. See, one of us experiments with other armies. The other one just plays resistance all the time.
I played PHR and Scourge tonight.
Only because I made you.
Maybe.
My mind drift back. The transport pool is great.
Yeah.
Unassigned transports is fantastic. I didn't find it convoluted. I didn't find it confusing. I mean, it works just like Sheltari. Not a big deal. But having that option to be able to move around and adjust stuff was excellent. Flame is extremely deadly. Demo feels way more important now. I fired a Kodiak 6 times and I rolled a 1 every
single
time. I don't know what the odds in that are, Jordan.
No, you was it last game against the Scourge? You rolled a
Oh yeah, I rolled a
2
and it deviated.
2 inches.
Yeah.
Still didn't hit anything. Not even the building.
Yeah, I hit the ground once. So thank God for that. All right. Well, hey guys, I know this was long. I hope it was informative. I hope it was useful. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. If you got any questions for Jordan or I, drop them in the comments. If you got anything that you noted that we definitely got wrong in our explanation, let us know. We'll get it corrected. Otherwise, hopefully we'll do this again in a few weeks, and we'll escalate up to larger games, and we'll hopefully see version 2 out sooner than later. Thanks for watching.